All right, guys, so our penultimate topic here is a bit of news that I found kind of surprising based on how this film ends, I guess we'll say. So just the other week, I forget what date it was. I think it was just really this past week. Like, I think it was July 2nd, if I'm remembering correctly now, if I got my movie release dates correct. The Tomorrow War film on Amazon released, and it was, available on Amazon Prime and everything. It starred Chris Pratt, had J.K. Simmons in it. It surprisingly was actually a pretty decent film, like all things considered.
I saw the end of it with you,
Yeah, you came over and you caught the end of it with me, and it wasn't all that bad.
It wasn't bad. No.
Yeah, I don't really remember if we did like a full review of it on here, so I'll try to keep this. I don't know. Actually, beware of spoilers because I can't really talk about this without kind of spoiling it a little bit. So there will be some spoilers for the Tomorrow War, the original one, the one that just came out. So bear with me on that. But word has came out that they are going to be making a Tomorrow War 2. And they already are in talks with Chris Pratt coming back and Chris McKay, who was the director, him coming back to do a sequel to this movie. And Chris McKay was also going to be doing the Nightwing film for DC that I hope still happens because I think Chris McKay is a pretty talented director. Like he did the Lego Batman movie, which was awesome, and then he did this, which, as far as the direction goes, I thought was pretty good. I have some issues with the overall story and how things like kind of happened in the film, some logic problems, but everything was pretty good. Like for most of the film, I think I told this to John because I know John has watched it to completion as well. The movie pretty much could have, if not should have, ended at the end of Act 2. I think the third act of the movie is the weakest part of the film. It wasn't bad by any means, but like the way the story went and then how the story like comes to its conclusion in Act 3, it's like it was all really good up until the end of Act 2. And then once Act 3 starts, that's where it kind of lost me. Everything is just like I was watching a completely different movie. Like I wouldn't even doubt if like half of that third act was all like reshoots and reworked because it just felt so much different than the first two acts of the movie, which I thought I was completely on board with the movie all up through that. But what's kind of interesting about this, and this is where the spoilers will kick in, so if you haven't watched it, like, it is what it is. I don't know what they're going to be doing in the second movie because they prevented everything from happening.
Yeah, they solved the problem.
Yeah, like they go through and like the whole point of the movie was, which honestly is kind of fucked up too. This is one of the issues I had with the movie. Is like the people from the future come back to get the people from the past to help them in the future, but it's not. If they stop what happens in the future, it's not going to change what happens in their past. So I don't really understand why they even went through with it. Like they kind of made sense with them finding the cure in the future, or not the cure, but like the toxin that will like wipe them out in the future. So they made that make a little bit of sense because the only way they could, get this toxin is to test it on the creatures. So like you had to do that in the future. So all that makes sense. But you feel like they would have like kind of explained that to them like in advance. Like no one knew about that. That was like a secret plan that was revealed to Chris Pratt's character from his daughter in the future. And it's like, you should have led with this being the thing. Because like, that's all we need to do.
Right.
This is going to be like an impromptu review here. I don't remember if we reviewed it very much at all, but that was like, I've told everybody that I've talked to about this movie, like, this is a great movie if you can turn your brain off. If you don't think about what they're telling you and just go along with it, it's a ton of fun. It's a good movie. Like, I enjoyed it.
The creatures were even kind of cool.
Yeah, they were pretty cool. The instant you start thinking about the logic behind the choices that are made, it kind of falls apart because ultimately the only reason that they brought people to the future, and the lead actress even says this, the chick that played Chuck's girlfriend on the TV show Chuck, Yvonne Straczynski or something, I think her name is Strahovski. Yeah, she even says like, I needed to bring you to the future, to bring Chris Pratt's character to the future. He's the one that needs to be brought to the future so that she can give him the toxin because she trusts him to take it back and do what they need to do in the past with it. The whole premise of drafting people and bringing people to the future to fight is kind of a smokescreen, and ultimately kind of effed up that they bring
Very
those
fucked
people
up.
forward when all they needed to do was get Chris Pratt's character into the future so that they could give him the toxin to take back to the past. So,
And they didn't even need to
like I
do
said,
that. They just needed to get the
nope.
toxin and take it back to the past. Chris Pratt's not
Exactly, and then they
needed
could
for
have
that.
handed it to him.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
It's just like,
So,
what?
the logic behind a lot of it starts to fall apart when you start thinking about it.
There's a
But
lot of
like I
movies
said, if
like
you
that, to
can,
be
if you
fair.
Mhm.
sure, and if you can turn your brain off and just go with it, it's a fun movie.
I
Yeah,
enjoyed
it's
watching the
fine.
bit that I did, yeah.
The only thing I didn't like when they don't really explain it too well, but when you see at the end when you see the ship, because the thing I was thinking the whole time is like, how did like these creatures are like dogs.
They're
Like,
not smart.
yeah, these things didn't have they didn't drive a spaceship into Earth. You know, so I'm sitting here like,
Mhm.
how did they even get here? Like, were they on a meteor
We
and then it
discussed it, though,
crashes
it's like
down? Like,
Alien Covenant, like, what if it
yeah,
was, like, a weapon that's engineered to
that's
like that?
what my guess ended up. Because like when they find the ship, all these things are like in a hibernation chamber.
Yeah, like
So
storage and
Yeah.
my guess is that like there was an intelligent being that had them on there as cargo. And they kind of talk about this in the movie. And it's like, well, why are they here? Were they a weapon designed to actually come here and like eliminate the Earth, or what? We don't really know, but
Well, and here's what your sequel is. Your sequel is that when Chris Pratt and his crew, spoilers again, obviously we're talking about spoilers here,
mm,
but when Chris Pratt and his crew go in to administer the toxin to the aliens in the present day when they're still in hibernation and stasis, them getting into the ship triggers some kind of beacon or something to wherever the original shipment of this ship came from.
yeah,
And then those people, those aliens, along with, another container of these creatures travels to Earth, and then so in the future you get their arrival on Earth from this event that happens in present day, and then you have to come back to the past again because in the future these aliens have arrived because of this event that happened in this one. So
exactly.
that's how
right.
you kind of play out the same type of story with the past time travel, and you incorporate. I mean, we haven't said it, but I guess I'm going to since we said spoilers plenty of times. But that's how you incorporate his daughter being a scientist in the future and him needing to interact with her again and stuff like that. So,
Well,
Yeah,
I think if with the second movie, like, logically, what could happen is it would be kinda like an Alien Covenant sorta story where it's like, now you're gonna learn what actually sent these things. You know,
yeah,
maybe they're
yep.
going to have some kind of battle or whatever and try to come to Earth themselves, and, it ends up being this, like, actually, like, smart creatures that sent these, like, dog things, and
yeah.
that's probably, like, the
Well,
direction I feel like it would take.
Which could be more fucked up because you got to think whoever
sure.
created these things. We don't know the source to it, but if these were created things like the xenomorph, like kind of
It's obviously
biology
from a
is,
more intelligent
yeah,
race, like,
exactly,
it was sent on a fucking spaceship
yeah.
to
So if
Earth,
they
like
the more intelligent aliens here have somehow found a way to either tame these things, control them, or at least hold them captive. So like they're a pretty formidable fucking threat on their own, you would imagine.
yeah.
So it's like now you're gonna have the potential of like this intelligent race of aliens coming here with more of the little freaking
It might not
white
even be
spike
more of
things.
those, they may just be like, "Screw it, let's just blow the
Well,
planet
they
up," like
obviously use those things for something.
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Because I would imagine they use them for the same
They're
thing
pretty
that
much just
David used the
discount
xenomorph stuff.
xenomorphs in a way,
They
like
are. The only thing what bothered me about the creature design though, it's got since we never did like a review about this, is they shot out the spikes, right? But those were obviously like bones. They would only have so much of those. And then they
yeah.
would they run out of ammo, if you will, because
I didn't
bones
like how
take
they
a long
sounded like
time to
gunshots
develop.
either.
Like, yeah, I mean that was kind of
Like an
that was fine.
organic thing, and it's like
You know what I will say though? This movie had the absolute best muzzle flares out of any fucking movie in the world. Like
I didn't even notice that.
I want to send the clips of this Corridor crew because like they are all about like the muzzle flashes and like Corridor crew when they do the
Yeah,
VFX
yeah.
artist reacts thing. They are all about like muzzle flashes looking correct. Hey, look
Hey!
at that, Sonya Kinsley or
Thank you, Sonya.
Isley. Just subscribe. Welcome to the party, pal.
Shout out
What's
to
up?
Sonya.
But they are always about like muzzle flashes, like looking good or bad or whatever, and like etc. And like to the point where when I saw the muzzle flashes in this thing, like they were incredible because I distinctly remember they had a scene where Chris Pratt is shooting a gun, but Chris McKay moves the camera around, and it's like a direct shot at like right there, like the muscle flashes right in your face kind of thing. And then from like even prior to that, I thought they looked good, but then after that happened, I was just like, damn, dude, these muzzle flashes are fucking awesome. Like they did a really good job with those. That's on a small note, but yeah, I hated the bone thing because like they would run out of bones.
Yeah.
Like they could only develop so many bones.
I mean, they'd have to like recharge after a while. You think they'd have to like eat more or something to?
Well, yeah, like
to
because like
grow
bones
these
take a
things.
long time to grow. Like, so it was just weird.
Probably some
like,
sort of like keratin deposit, like fingernail material or
I
something.
don't know.
I
I just thought that
Is
was
it,
kind of
I mean,
odd.
I just assumed it was kind of like shark teeth. Don't shark have multiple rows of teeth and then they fall out and they grow new ones?
Yeah, but it would
Probably,
take a
yeah.
while for them to grow, though.
Yeah, they don't just
Sure,
grow
sure.
overnight.
Because these
yeah.
are big ass bones, and just by the structure of the being itself, it's not like they had some reservoir of like bones. Like they looked like a dog, and so it's like the bones have to grow somewhere inside. So it's like you could only grow so
Sure.
much. I'm really nitpicking here
this is
about the
breaking it down.
biology of a fucking made up alien.
What are they called?
but
Like white stabbers or something?
They call them white spikes because of that. Which again, I just thought was like that's why it made me think about it, and I was like, well, how many of these things could they really have? Like because in my mind, when it comes to an actual biological standpoint, it would be like more like a bee sting. Like once the stinger's gone, like it's gone. They don't just grow another one because they're shooting bones, and like once they're gone, they're just gone. Like it would take some time for them to grow back. Like, but
it's not like he's got magazines of
these things just
just
seemingly keep coming and coming and coming. It's like you'd think like you'd have like 10 of those, and like that's all you can hold in your body. Like you just and they don't just fucking pop.
We are talking about aliens here.
It's true. Like who knows? But nevertheless, yeah, I guess that. Are you looking forward to a second one? I hope because like you said, I think we both kind of agree with like the movie overall, and I think the good outweighs like the nonsense and like the kind of questionable things. So if they can just refine the script and make it a little bit more coherent and streamlined, because I legit was like super impressed with everything for the first 2 acts, and then like it just kind of falls. At least with everything I saw, the story was still kind of holy. But like, it was still like I enjoyed everything up to like the end of that second act, and like I said, the movie could have just ended right there and it would have been fine.
I need to sit down and watch the whole movie.
It's honestly really good up until that point, other than like some of the plot holy kind
got
of things.
Prime, like I could watch it.
But yeah, so are you looking forward to it though, like John? Because you've seen it. Rick hasn't seen it yet.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I can be harsh on movies at times, but it's usually movies that I have some sort of personal investment in, where I feel like they've really, Star Wars sequels to be case in point. But for a lot of movies, there's, I'm like I said, I'm willing to turn off my brain. I'm not that like that. Even though I can point out the issues that I had with the story after the fact. I mean, if they want to come back and do a movie that has just as many plot holes and segments in it, as long as it's fun and it's enjoyable the way this one was, I don't even care that much. I'll watch it again. Like I'm not that much of a. I don't know. I don't. It's hard. It's hard to define where that line is for me between a bad movie that's just bad or a bad movie that's fun. But it's still there for me. And if this one fell firmly on the side of fun.
Yeah, I would agree. Like I said, the good outweighed the bad. So if they can, oh yeah, the only other thing I wanted to say too is apparently this was like a huge success on Amazon Prime. I don't know as far as like I don't know what kind of data they're correlating because like if you have Prime, you just got to watch it. But like apparently there was just the most viewed kind of like direct to Prime Video thing that they've had, I think, ever, if I'm remembering correctly. So it's obvious why like they're on board with doing a sequel, like because if it's going to bring more eyes to it, then cool. Like so, but if they can just refine the script for it and just make it a little bit focus more on the stuff that happened in the first 2 acts, and then I think you're good. Like in all honesty, because I thought all that was like good fun, and then just kind of because the other thing that I thought was stupid is like he was trusted to like take the toxin back, but then like he went to the government for help, and like they just oh, you're on your own. It's just like what? Like how are they? But this is like, we need to do this or the war happens. But like, nope, you're on your own.
Yeah.
This is why the third act was like, it kind of fell apart for me. It was like the logic problems aside from the first two acts, the what happens in the third act just doesn't make any sense at all. So we'll just have to see though. Question is, guys, what do you think about this? Do you think it's worthy of having a Tomorrow War 2, the Tomorrow Aro War? I don't even know what you would call it. I guess you just call it Tomorrow War 2. But nevertheless, let us know what you think down in the comment section below. The Yesterday War, that's what it is. Let us know.